One of the most dangerous clauses for startup founders, even as per Shark Anupam Mittal, is this.
It's called anti-dilution. So next time if you raise at less than that valuation, you will make up the investor for as if he had invested in the latest value.
And this clause was even discussed during a Shark Tank deal where the founder had a lot of trouble because of it.
छूट रही है ये ट्रेन, फटाफट सोच लो.
जस्ट मुझे एक पॉइंट
छूट रही है ट्रेन. Ready for this train to leave the station?
ऑब्वियसली नॉट.
Then this is not a good counter.
हमारा एंटी डाइल्यूशन ट्रैप ट्रिगर हो जाएगा यदि मैं उस वैल्यूएशन पे आता हूं.
Waiver ले लेना यार.
And in order to understand this clause, the first thing that you need to understand is that whenever a startup / company is issuing new shares, the equity of the existing shareholders gets diluted. But the anti-dilution clause exactly tries to prevent it for the shareholder who has an anti-dilution clause in his favor. But it is also important to note that this clause works in the case of a down round only. And now this clause can work in different legal mechanisms, but for the sake of this video, to oversimplify it, let's just assume one company that is valued at rupees 100 and one investor buys 20% of equity for rupees 20 along with an anti-dilution clause. But now let's just say after a year or so, the company needs more funds, but at this point of time, no investor is willing to come in at a valuation of rupees 100. So they do a down round and they now issue shares at the valuation of rupees 50. And this down round is what exactly triggers the anti-dilution clause of the existing shareholder. And once it kicks in, the consequence of it is that the startup will have to issue free shares to this existing shareholder who had an anti-dilution clause to make sure that his equity does not get diluted. But guess what? Since new shares are being issued, somebody's equity has to get diluted. And in most cases where this clause exists, the equity dilution happens for the founder. And that is why it is called one of the most dangerous clauses for the founders. But for the investors, it's an absolute paradise.